Okie dokie. Well, this is a late night edition of Between a Rock and a Hard Place. Last episode I was doing this Mac, and then my Mac actually started to show signs of power supply failure, so I've ordered parts for it. I'm gonna do another recording of how to replace the power supply in these things. I don't like to, it sucks, the labor and all, it's tedious, annoying, not something I feel like doing, but of course, if you did what you felt like doing, you'd never get anything done, would you? So, in between, we're gonna play with this little guy. Now this did an OS install, data recovery, and the customer got it back, said touchpad's not working. I don't recall messing with anything touchpad related. When I went inside, I did replace the hard drive, reinstalled the operating system. I was able to do data recovery off the other drive, and I backed that up to network attached storage here. I know that other shops claim that they're quick and speedy and all that. That's great if you, if whatever you're doing isn't complicated. Or in my customers, I tend to ask them what they value more, their time or their sanity. And if it's their sanity, then what I do takes longer. I have software, it backs their stuff up, it puts it across the network onto my storage. That may take hours, depending on how much stuff they have. Then I try to do the clones. That platter drive has to go over on this machine over here. That takes hours to scan the drive. If it finds bad sectors, it tries to fix them. I suspect that that thing actually is moving the data off and pointing to it. It is phenomenal. Then I got to do check disk. That might take hours. Then I try to do the clone. Sometimes on one piece of software it fails, other times not. Then I try it again. It may take hours more. Might get partway through, find a problem with the file system, which is why I try to do check disk first. And then all of this just so when the customer gets it back, hopefully they can just turn it on and everything is where they left it. You can't do that in a couple hours. It takes time. Now, if they're not worried about that and they just want their files, I tend to replace the drives if there's issues, because usually what happens when Windows install fails is it hits a bad place on the drive, usually during an update, and then whap, you get a blue screen, and that, or you know, you restart and you end up back in the boot loop with the blue screen, recovery mode, can't do anything, automatic repair, that sort of thing. So we're going to circumvent all of that here if we can, and if we can't, then of course we get to go the easy way, which is you just drag the data off, reinstall Windows, and then push it right back out, and that is really brief. Back to the point at hand. This thing, we're going to try to get the touchpad to work. I've already gone in and done the evasive stuff. I don't think that there's a ribbon cable issue. I do see Windows missing drivers in there. So we're going to go through that today. I'm going to try to get into that here in a little bit. I've misplaced my other MacBook somewhere, but I'll find that when I get ready to do this. Look at me trying to use the mouse. How cute. At this time of night, what is it, 9 o'clock? 9:12? I got like the memory span of a fruit fly or a goldfish. It just kind of comes and goes. So, obviously touchpad doesn't work. I've looked at the top, made sure that none of the function keys do this. They don't seem to, so there is definitely some shenanigans. Luckily for everybody involved, I don't need that. I can just use the keyboard. That's interesting back there. Anyways, on with the show. And I'm not connected to the internet, so we're not going to get very far, are we? Let's go fix that. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go here. And all I'm doing is going into the networking stuff, and I am connecting to the Tech Leader Guest network. It is password protected. It is not the same subnet, for those of you that know what that means. Most of you won't. But the networks that I have here are segregated. I have multiple Wi-Fi names out there that attach to different networks for different reasons. I don't want somebody coming in here with an actual virus and infecting all of my stuff. So I have a completely separate network for those things that is network connected to the internet. Very fancy business equipment, spared no expense. So now we are, in fact, on the internet. Let's go get a piece of software to help us figure this out. And I may jump cut this. This part is going to take a little bit, but it's nice when you actually have something to work with. And the internet working makes me happy. Oh, it doesn't highlight the links. How cute. Let's get that. Of course, what I'm doing is I'm using the tab key to tab through the elements on the page, and I can look down at the bottom left and see what link I'm on, and when it matches the thing I want, I go get it. You guys may not be able to do that if you're not as familiar with what you're downloading. However, I tend to live on these pages for the same thing over and over and over and over, and therefore I'm used to it. And of course, nothing ever wants to work. Let's close that. A lot of times when you highlight something with tab, I hit tab till it came over there to home, and I can use the arrow keys on the other side to navigate through this, and then I tab and it highlights that thing over there. You gonna give me that menu player? Yes, you are. Slow. Not the fastest horse in the race. Of course, this is not a name brand laptop. They sell a lot of these little knockoffs at Walmart and other places. I have no idea what brand this thing is. It is none of the usual suspects. And the fact that it says laptop right there, which is, I thought, painfully obvious by looking at the fact that it has a screen and a keyboard, might tip me off that it was in fact a laptop instead of, I don't know, a horse or some other electronic like a cell phone. They felt the need to put that on there. I suspect that's some translation thing. I did look for this model. If this thing ever breaks beyond a component that's replaceable, like the memory or the processor, like if this screen goes, good luck, man. You're never going to find these things. Nor would you want to, nor would it be cost effective to do it. I suspect this thing ran around $200. And I understand people are on budgets and they're just trying to get by, and maybe that's cool, but you give a $200 piece of thing to your kid and they are probably going to tear it up. And then you can go out and buy another $200 thing. I get frustrated waiting for this type of stuff. I'm so used to the big machine back here just, oof. But we'll pretend that we're patient instead of a patient. Here we go. Now I want to go, you turkey. Of course, Windows doesn't trust this thing, so let's go fix that. We tab around, and then when you're tabbing around, if you need to check a box or click a button, you can just hit space. Box is checked. I want to go down here and hit apply with the space bar, and then I'm going to shift tab, and all that does is take you back the other way. Tab takes you through the elements, and then if you're like, oh, I went too far, and you hold shift and hit tab, you just go back the other way. I'm going to make a separate video probably on how to do this. Just so you guys have a reference. The people that do this day in and day out, we all know how this works, but the average person doesn't seem to understand that you've got quite an arsenal available to you. I know this thing looks like a virus. This is my favorite tool. It goes out and finds drivers for me, so I don't have to go individually get them. And I really like not having to do that. Although, based on what I'm seeing here, I doubt this tool is going to be very helpful. No, it sees it. Okay. So I would estimate 20 or 30 drivers this thing found. We're going to go ahead and let it know that we want to install them all. How long is this going to take? That is 5 gigs worth of stuff. Now, I can download 200 gigs on my network connection in about 10 minutes. It's offensive for, I think they said $25 extra. I can get twice that speed, which is just stupid, because it doesn't make the internet faster per se. It doesn't make my downloads much quicker. However, in a situation like this, where this tool has to go out and get something from some server somewhere, this is only going to download as fast as that server will dish it up. So it doesn't, so it's like you go to McDonald's and you know, you're very hungry and you can eat quick, but you still have to, you're relying on how fast everything is back on the other side of the counter. It doesn't matter how fast you can eat so you can leave if you still have to wait for those guys to screw your order up, leave the onions on the burger that you begged them not to put on it. And in fact, the ice cream machine, as we all know, is broken. The flag should be at half-mast, just so we know. No offense to the people that it's actually half-mast, but they should have a separate M flag up there. And if it's flying high in the parking lot, you know that on a hot day in the Florida heat, you can go in and get a dairy imitation product frozen treat without having to go through the drive-through, wait with that crazy little split merge thing they've got, which is, we all have been in traffic before, we know that doesn't work, only to come around and them tell you that you can't order the thing that you sat in line for. C'est la vie. I am going to jump cut this part. It's going to take a little while. While it's doing that, I'm going to go find my Mac and I'm going to start doing some recording for this while this is going. And I also have this little guy down here that we're going to look at before I go to sleep, if I in fact do such things, which will be very late tonight. So I'll be back.